Welcome to Startup Takeoff, your way to entrepreneurship in Germany, a podcast for students with an international or intercultural background who want to create a startup in this country. My name is Camila Muñoz, and in this episode we want to highlight the importance of communities and networking when starting a business. That's why I talk with someone who organizes community events for people with a history of migration working in the tech industry.
Hello everyone, my name is Gevorgyan. I volunteer for 2Hearts. I am a part of the community team responsible for our digital events, but also I am the co-chapter head alongside my colleague for all things happening in the Rhein-Main area.
Can you tell us shortly what is 2Hearts?
2Hearts is a community for people with a migration background who work in tech in the broadest sense. So we have people who work in VC, people who work in or have founded a startup, people who work in innovation management or innovation topics within corporate companies or work with startups in a different position. Our aim is to connect people who have had the same difficulties throughout their life in their careers and who have a similar goal to be successful in Germany, in Europe. And so far it has been working really great. We bring people together mostly online. We have a big community on Slack with, at this point, over 3,000 people. And what makes us special is that we bring people together also in a physical space. We notice the need and try to cater to it. So now we have a local chapter in every big city in Germany, in Hamburg, Berlin, in Munich, Cologne, and Frankfurt. And since a few weeks, even one in Stuttgart.
And tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from? How long have you been living here in Germany?
I was born in Armenia, raised in Moscow, went to a German school by accident, where I got the chance to learn German and also pass a C1 test, which enabled me to apply in Germany. And I thought, why not? I tried, it worked. And I have been here for 12 years now.
And when did you join the 2Hearts community, or how did you first hear about them?
I've known about 2Hearts probably since the day they were founded, because it was all over my LinkedIn. It didn't click with me from the get-go to apply, but I applied eventually about 2 years ago after a colleague of mine pushed me, because we ended up organizing an event together in our office back then. And since then, I have realized that this was the community I was always looking for and didn't have. And now I'm extremely happy that I am a part of it as a member, but also as a volunteer.
And I saw that the work of the 2Hearts community is based on different areas. For example, community platform, mentorship program, communications and public relations, and advocacy and public affairs. Could you tell us more about these areas and where do you work specifically?
Yes, my main job is within the community platform. So I am a part of the community team. We are responsible for the admissions because we handpick every member and check every application carefully. No AI involved so far. What we do is, as I already mentioned, we bring people together. Online and offline, we make sure that there is an exchange of knowledge happening within the community. And our Slack channel is something like tapping a colleague on the shoulder and asking them a question in the office. That's what we're trying to replicate in a digital space. So we have a channel for pretty much every topic that interests a founder or anyone who works at tech, and the questions and answers within the community vary from, do you have an immigration lawyer, to I need a marketing specialist for B2B advertisement, or I am going to Singapore for a week, do you know anyone there? And every question and request gets answered. And it's our job to also keep the engagement in the community very active. That's the community team. The mentoring platform was one of the main reasons why 2Hearts was born in the first place. We match also individually young talents with experienced professionals within their professional sphere, but also people with the same cultural background, because we know that people from certain areas face certain issues that others may not. So we try to make sure that everyone who applies for our mentoring program gets a mentor who really understands them on many levels. And community and public relations is also something very close to our hearts. We want our stories to be heard. So what we're trying to do is we try to build a narrative around immigrant founders in Germany, but in general, people with a migration background. Because oftentimes when you see in the press a startup ABC raised X million in Series A, you just see, a startup founder got funding. But what you don't see is all the stories before, that the person came to Germany when they were 8, didn't speak the language, had to adjust in the school, had to make sure that they get recommendation for a gymnasium in order to get an education, had to jump over extra hoops to get where they are right now. We want to highlight these kind of stories to make sure that they are heard and to make sure that people out there who may be going through a similar issue know that there are many people among us who have made it despite all the difficulties, because we do notice that many people in Germany simply don't know about the difficulties and extra hoops that people in Germany have to jump through in order to reach the same goals as someone who was born and raised here and has a name that is easier to pronounce.
So let's say that someone is interested in applying and being part of the community. They can just apply online, and what benefits will they get? They get access to the Slack community, or how does it work?
Yes, in order to become a member of 2Hearts, you have to go to our website, 2heartscommunity.com, and fill out the application form. Within a few weeks, our team will get back to you with the feedback. Essentially, there are only 2 criteria that have to be fulfilled in order to be eligible to join. You have to have a migration background and work in tech. As long as these 2 boxes are checked, you can definitely expect to be accepted into the community. We do offer a lot of exclusive benefits for our members. For one, of course, the Slack channel. For other, being a part of 2Hearts opens a lot of doors. And we notice this in simple stories that we hear from members saying, I was applying to get a job in a company XYZ, and I saw that the founder is a 2Hearts member. I am also a 2Hearts member. So we just bond on a different level. Just because we went through the same process, and although we don't know each other, we already have something in common. This builds a completely different base for the further conversation. And other than that, within the local chapters, we often organize events and workshops that are exclusive for our members, but that's not the case for all of our events. We also love welcoming other communities or people who are simply interested in what we're doing and want to check out our events and get to know us in real life, because I know that we are quite active online and not everyone immediately understands what is it exactly that we do. And our on-site events are a great chance for a first touch point. And I personally know a lot of people in Frankfurt who first came to our events and then filled out the application because they realized that, it is exactly as good as it looks on LinkedIn.
I was checking your website and I found the 2Hearts community's mantra, and I find it very inspiring and would like to share it here. It says, we have 2 hearts. We have parents or grandparents who immigrated into the country we grew up in, or we immigrated ourselves when we were young. We grow up within at least two cultures. We know the clash of cultures, we have been there. Some of us struggle to find our place, being a stranger in the countries we grew up, being a stranger in the countries of our parents and grandparents. But we learn to appreciate what we have. We learn to recognize how gifted we are. We have two hearts, we have two souls, we have two cultures, we have two perspectives in which we see and live the world. We sometimes start one step behind, but we end two steps ahead. We embrace our immigration backgrounds and diversity. We have two hearts or more. I think everyone who has a history of migration can relate to these words, but what do you think is the impact of those two or more backgrounds when we talk about the entrepreneurial world?
Well, I think whoever grew up in an immigrant household doesn't need to open the dictionary to understand what resilience is. We see it in our parents, we see it in our own stories. Becoming an immigrant, whether it's by choice or not, involves a lot of risk and a lot of uncertainty, which is an essential part of being an entrepreneur. So I think this is definitely a leverage for us. We all have been there, or we have parents who have been through certain adversities. So that is one thing that definitely helps a lot. What I think about often is that growing up with two cultures, or now in my case with three cultures, you learn to become an ambassador for each, and you learn to embrace your cultures, but also you learn to explain your culture to another person, and you learn to understand a different perspective, and you learn how to combine the best of both worlds. I see it often through my previous experience in a startup accelerator, where we had young people on one side and clients from the corporate world on the other side. You often have to adjust to your counterparts' language, identity, and mindset. And this was crucial for startups to understand: how does my corporate partner think? What is important for them, and how do I make myself understood? This is something that anyone who grows up with a different culture, with a different language, has to train every day. Also, finding yourself in a situation where you don't know where to go and you don't know what to do, especially in Germany, every time you face the bureaucracy. I don't think anyone who has gone through the long processes of getting a visa or an Aufenthaltstitel in Germany would be scared off by all the bureaucracy that comes with starting a company here. It's very hard to surprise us with a bureaucratic challenge. We have all already seen a lot.
Is there a story about the 2Hearts community that maybe you remember that made you think like, oh wow, this space is really making a difference for a lot of people, or maybe something you want to share?
I call these kind of stories the 2Hearts magic. On one hand, remotely, we have had people who met on Slack and ended up becoming co-founders. This has actually happened in the past. And my personal highlight every time is the feedback that we get after our events in Frankfurt on site. One of the members once approached me and said, this was the first time I came to an event in Germany where I could connect with people without having to pay the entry and without having to drink alcohol. And this was for us a great validation of the work that we've been doing, which isn't much. We book a location, we invite people, we make sure that they get something to eat and to drink. And sometimes we have a program on stage. Everything else is the conversations and the connections that happen between the people who come, and the vibe, the atmosphere that our events have comes from the people who attend. And it's always extremely warm and welcoming, because whoever comes into the room knows that most of the people in the room have either had a similar background story, a similar problem, a similar challenge, or have a similar interest with them, because we all work in tech in one way or another, and we all have an international background. So this is, it's something that I think also differentiates us from other communities. It is a professional community, but the vibe and the atmosphere that we create within our events is extremely personal and very intimate.
As the Frankfurt co-chapter head of the 2Hearts community, how do you perceive the diversity of the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in the region, in the Rhein-Main area?
Oh, it's very diverse when it comes to cultural backgrounds. It's probably not as diverse when it comes to the topics that people work on. Obviously, we are in Frankfurt, so a lot of the startups are ultimately somewhere in the realms of fintech and banking. But I think Frankfurt does have much more to offer to founders and startups than the majority of people think. Not everyone has to go to Berlin.
And what opportunities do you think that the Rhein-Main area offers to students with an international or intercultural background who want to start a business during or after their studies?
First of all, I think the Frankfurt area is a great place to find an international job in the beginning. Not only English-speaking jobs, but also jobs that are in a global company. I think for that, Frankfurt is probably the second or the third place after Berlin and Munich where you can get these kind of opportunities. And when it comes to founding a startup, there is plenty of support from the state of Hesse for young startups, and something particularly exciting is being born at the moment in Frankfurt with the Future Factory, where multiple universities in the region have come together with Futury to build an ecosystem for founders, companies, and academia to come together. And from my personal experience, I used to work at Futury for a long time. I can tell you international founders and students are extremely welcome to also explore and benefit from all the offerings and opportunities that the ecosystem does and will offer in the future.
And now looking at the bigger picture, Germany and startups, how do you think that Germany can become more inclusive to support founders with a history of migration?
I would really wish for government representatives responsible for the visa processes here to just once sit down at the same table with immigrant founders and hear their stories. Because I think a lot of the challenges that startup founders with an immigration background in Germany have to go through are often treated as a one-off or an exception case, because every Ausländerbehörde in Germany is independent from each other. So a lot of them don't face that many cases of someone coming in and saying, I want to become a founder, I want to be independent, and this is my story, I need a visa for this. I often get the feeling that every case is being treated as an exception and as something that will not happen again, so we don't have to really look into this and create a framework and a system around it. This will happen more and more. And on one hand, I know people who are afraid of starting a startup in Germany because of all the bureaucratic hurdles that come to it during the visa process. So already on this stage, Germany loses a lot of potential of new startups being founded. That's why they opt out for a stable 9-to-5 job in a big company where they get an unlimited working contract, can get their visa or the blue card, and have a carefree life. Bring maybe their partner over or their parents over, build a family here and stay. This is a proven track. This is the easier way out. And once you are in your stable job and you have responsibilities, your likelihood to found a startup diminishes. That's why in order for those people, and it's often students, to not ignore the possibility of founding a startup, to have the security that my visa status will be fine if I choose to go this road, this is something that I think will increase the number of startups coming out of universities in Germany built by international students for sure. Germany has to become one of the countries that the fingers automatically point to when thinking, I want to found a startup, because it has been the case for a long time for Germany, for all those people who wanted to become professionals in automotive came to Germany. So the same way people thought of Germany, cars, I have to go and study here and become a professional here. The same way when people think about founding an international startup, they should start thinking Germany. And for that, I think the base has already been created, and we do have success stories that we can lean on and use to inspire more people worldwide to come join. The rest is, in my eyes, minor things that have to be adjusted here and there. Like, for example, the whole situation, the visa. I don't believe that it's impossible to make the processes easier and more immigrant friendly.
That's a problem that I hear also often. And I think Germany is losing a lot of potential and power just because of these complicated processes everywhere. But talking about the future, how do you envision the role of communities as the startup ecosystem in Germany becomes more and more diverse?
People need people. So the professional aspect of now, in our case of 2Hearts, is extremely valuable. But I think what is even more valuable is that we create spaces for people to come together and get to meet like-minded people. It's not a coincidence that our chapters are all in big cities. We see a loneliness crisis rising all over. As an immigrant or someone who doesn't have roots in the cities where we live, we are even more vulnerable. So I think in this case, having a community of people that you can always reach out to just to have a conversation is extremely important. And this is something that we notice very often at our events. The speed with which a networking chit-chat turns into a deep conversation about thoughts and feelings is very, very fast. And I think this is something that people will want and need more and more with time. So I see the work that we do in 2Hearts as extremely valuable, especially given all the feedback that we also get from people, and we see people. Like the magic of our community, and this is something I also mentioned at the last event that we had, is that you come the first time and you don't know anyone, but within those couple of hours, you meet so many people that whenever you come to our events next time, there will already be at least 2, 3, 4 people that you have already talked to, who have a familiar face, and you will never be a stranger again in this very big community with thousands of people. But if you keep coming and if you keep on reaching out to people and making those connections, you will embed yourself into the community more and more. And the more communities like that we have, the better.
And what advice will you give to organizations that are looking to better support migrant founders?
Talk to them. Understand their problems. Don't assume the problems that they have. Actually talk to them and prioritize the issues that are being mentioned. Often those issues are maybe individual and cannot be solved by one-off workshop or a consulting session. We are talking about more individual support and concrete support with the things that are not always easy to fix, but if you genuinely want to help, ask where the help is needed most. In my times in the university, I don't remember any specific offering for international students wanting to found a startup. If I would have had one back then, maybe I would have even started thinking of founding a startup. I always knew I want to work in the startup industry in one way or another, but founding a startup in Germany, also given the whole thing with the visa, was never a priority or never even a thing I considered. If I would have had the according support, maybe things would have been different.
And lastly, we already talked about how people can become a member of the 2Hearts community, but what about when you want to volunteer or support you in some way? How can people be part of the community?
We are open for any kind of support. Specifically, I can talk for the Frankfurt region. We often organize events in different locations. If you, your company, your organization has a space that you can provide us with for a meetup, we are very friendly hosts. So we would come and organize an event and have you as a sponsor, as a co-host. We love merging communities. We love introducing our community to other communities and organizations who do any work that can be of value for our members. So in that sense, we are very open to collaborate. And if you want to host a workshop and share your expertise with our members, always happy to get support. And in general, if you think that you can relate with the kind of story and message that we have, feel free to apply and become a member. Or, of course, also, if you want to go a step further and you have a few free hours a week, also reach out. And we are always looking for new volunteers, be it in marketing and communications or in organizing events or any other issue that you think you can support us with. We are very open and happy to get help.
Great. Thank you very much. It was very inspiring to hear your story and know more about the community.
Thank you for the invitation and the chance to promote us a little bit. We still have room for growth in Frankfurt, Rhein-Main.
This was our episode with Laura Gevorgyan from 2Hearts Community. To know more about their activities, visit their website 2heartscommunity.com or follow them on Instagram and LinkedIn. In the following episodes, you will find more inspiring stories and tips from experts to make your entrepreneurial journey in Germany easier. Startup Takeoff, Your Way to Entrepreneurship in Germany, is a podcast of the International Career Service Rhein-Main, a project that supports international students and students with a history of migration to start their career or business in Germany. The project is funded by the European Union and the state of Hesse. To know more about our offer, please visit our website at ics-rm.de. You can also connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You find us as @ICS_RM. Thanks for listening, and until next month.